Kia ora koutou, katoa, ko Jacob Tokoinoa, the CEO of Auckland Golf. Just welcome to an overview of the golf ball recycling program and the initiative that we'd like to roll out as part of the Golfers Green work that's been undertaken through Tamaki Makaurau. Started as a conversation with John, seeing some of the work that had been done and was being done in the Golfers Green project, and then John came on over and presented the golf ball recycling and other environmental and ecological work that's being undertaken through Australia. It's very exciting, and we felt that the first initiative that we should start with here in New Zealand, not just Tamaki Makaurau, but hopefully starting this elsewhere as well, will be a golf ball recycling program. John is the guru for all this and can explain it much better than I, so I'll just hand over directly to you, John. Welcome. Let you introduce Paul too.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your time this morning. I'd like to introduce Paul Lockwood, our sales manager for golf ball recycling bin services. It's a pleasure that I get an opportunity to present the golf ball recycling business in New Zealand, particularly because my wife's a Kiwi and she's currently in Wanganui, and I kindly refer to myself as an adopted Kiwi. And this business, golf ball recycling, was born out of my interest in golf back in 2014. We went to Golf Australia and asked about what happens with end-of-life golf balls, realising that there's a lot of golf balls sold on the second-hand market, and there's companies moving balls around the world for different sort of reasons. And didn't really have a handle on circularity and what the importance of building a circular economy in industry was at that point in time. And the more I've got involved in this and the more that this business has grown, the more I realise that circularity is the future for every industry. And I see golf as a platform that we can use to influence change, educate younger generations of influence to better understand not only the purpose of us building a circular economy and recycling, but also using that opportunity to connect with Indigenous culture and the purpose of the land and sky and sea, and cleaning up years of litter that through whatever reason, whether it's neglect or ignorance, but moving forward in a positive direction. So that's where I'm at right now. And our golf ball recycling business is quite simple. We've been able to identify that we can shred the golf ball into an aggregate, into variable sizes through different screening processes. We can separate the skin from the inners. We can use the skin to manufacture a range of different high-grade plastic products like irrigation pipe for golf courses, for irrigation systems that lay in the fairways, for example. The skin can be used in the manufacturing of that pipe work. We've worked with a number of companies and designers, and I have a civil construction background. I've been in the building industry for 40 years, and I've worked across civil, logistics, warehousing, commercial, domestic, high-density living, retail, petroleum, and I've been lucky enough to learn a lot along the way from the different industries. And in doing that, I can see the benefit of the golf ball aggregate in construction, but I can also see other opportunities for it. So in our visits to New Zealand over the years, we've built up, and we currently trade in New Zealand under our construction company called Harboursol New Zealand. So I've been working and trading in New Zealand as a New Zealand taxpayer for 35 years. And we're excited that we've now registered Golf Ball Recycling New Zealand Limited out of our Christchurch office. And our intention is to reinvest back in New Zealand. So any money that we generate from this enterprise, it will go back into junior golf in New Zealand. And that's my pledge to Cameron and the team, and we hope to be able to roll it out across all of New Zealand for the benefit of junior golf in the future and education in sustainability. Our bin service, as I said, we put the bins out on courses. We encourage members and communities to engage in circularity through our social media and our marketing strategies, and we join with the clubs and the ranges with their social media platforms as well to celebrate them as the environmental heroes doing the work, putting the balls in the bins. From there, we then collect those bins, we drop an empty, we pick up the full, the truck's in and out in less than 5 minutes. There's no work to the club. It's less work for the junior staff at the club or the trainees who are generally, taking balls, or the maintenance guys who are dumping balls into landfill bins, which we want to stop. And those bins are then, generally filled up by your members and by people around the driving ranges who are, picking up balls that have been chopped up by mowers, or it doesn't matter the condition of the ball. We'll take everything. We'll even take the old sand buckets in the car parks when cars drive over them, because it's a good quality plastic, as is the baskets at the practice driving range. So we're finding more solutions for more products in golf, and part of our strategy, Golf Circularity 2030, New Zealand's first circular economy sport, we're looking and encouraging and exploring to recycle more products through our R&D, such as old graphite golf shafts, for example, which is quite a difficult one. The aggregate will get shredded in Christchurch and Auckland through a joint venture with Reclaim. We will then any good balls that go in the bins that are worthy of being reused. And if you see our logo, it's about reuse, repurpose, recycle. And that's circularity as opposed to a linear economy, which is take, make, and waste. Our reuse service is those balls will then get sorted and cleaned and go back out to retail for sale. And we've done an agreement with Golf Warehouse with Reese and his team. The money that we generate from that, so if we get $1 a ball from retailers, who then would probably on-sell them for $2 a ball, for example, that percentage of that money goes back to you guys, to the clubs, to help pay an offset for the bins. So we create a credit system that will go back to you. We keep a little bit of that money to help pay for our service, and the rest of it goes back to Jacobs, to the junior program. So we'll pledge a sponsorship back through that program. Our bin service has a fee for empty, so we work with Mainfreight, who will pick up our bins for us. They'll drop an empty. We'll have spare bins sitting in their yards at Manukau and also in Christchurch, and we'll probably drop some further down the islands as the Wellington and Dunedin and those sorts of places as we progress. But the Auckland region is relatively easy for us to manage. It's quite a nice region, and logistically it's quite easy. And I've worked with Mainfreight for the best part of 25 years, so I know the team there quite well. Olivia and Ollie and the guys in the main home service. So their little tailgate trucks will pop in and they'll pick up and drop off. From there, the balls will go back and get sorted, and as I said, the end of life balls go to Reclaim. From there, the aggregate goes across to companies like Hines Pipe Systems. So I'm working with Patrick and David at Hines, and David's a keen golfer. And we will work with them to repurpose that aggregate into a number of pipe systems, into a number of farm culvert systems. And we have a product called our EnviroCurb that I can share with you, that it's a permeable concrete stormwater pit system made out of 100% golf balls. Paul's showing you what that product looks like. So that's a 100% permeable concrete made out of golf ball aggregate. It's lightweight, so if that was a normal permeable concrete with stone, Paul wouldn't be holding it with 4 fingers. So it's very, very lightweight. So it's kind on logistics. You can move it in electric vehicles as opposed to needing diesel vehicles to tow, big weighted concrete trucks around. So without sort of digressing too far, the bin service is quite easy for us. We will send out to everyone in this email list a customer service agreement. To get you to open an account with us so we know who you are. When the bins, we will drop a bin to you. We will ask your permission. We will share a media pack with you with all of our logos for you to share on your website, and we will ask for your permission to post and promote your club or your driving range as a golf ball recycling partner and also a environmental hero, and try and encourage as many people to go to your course. If it is public or driving range, or if it's private, come along and join your club because you're doing the right thing for sustainability. So that's our take and our approach on social media marketing. With the when the bins are full or 3/4 full, your team would just simply send us an email to our sales at golfballrecycling.co.nz, and we will have the bin collected. We'll communicate back to you and advise you that the truck will be there in a couple of days to pick it up. You leave it in its normal place. The truck will come in at some time in the morning to pick it up, drop the empty. We then work out the credits in those bins. We run a job number on every single bin so we can track that bin and the contents of that bin. And we will then communicate back to you the value of the reusable balls out of that bin. And we track the total number of balls that come out of that bin so we can measure the CO2 emission saving from your club. And when you look at a golf ball, it has a CO2 emission of 6,000 times its size. And if every time you handle that ball and move it, so if you're shipping it offshore or whatever you're doing, it increases that CO2 emission every time you touch it. So the shredding process makes sense, and localizing that shredding process makes more sense. So we don't want to move product out of the Auckland region. We want to process it in the Auckland region. We want to work with industry in the Auckland region. So I put my construction hat back on and have a conversation with the likes of Isabel at the Auckland City Council, and we'll say, where can we use our recycled golf ball aggregate in the Auckland infrastructure projects that are coming up? So we'll work with construction companies in New Zealand and major builders who are working on those projects, and we'll try and build a marketing story where Jacob can share that information across the platform and highlight Golf New Zealand as truly a greener sport. So that's my introduction, my summary. Representation in Auckland, we've got 2 guys based in Auckland now working with us across the golf ball recycling service, and we will build that out as time goes. We have over 1,500 contractors across New Zealand that we work with on a daily basis through our Harboursol New Zealand business. So it's quite easy for us to scale up people as we need them. And those guys are generally building contractors who are blokes that don't mind picking up bins for us and helping us with our program. Any questions?
You can unmute yourself if you've got any questions, or if it's that simple, then we get the information out to you, and we can kick this off early next year in January. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just share a few videos and the likes that you've sent me through, so you can have a quick look at what we're talking about here. We'll start with this one. And so here's the shredding.
This is a typical WHP20 shredder that it doesn't have a screening on it. It's just a blade shredder that you would typically use to shred the likes of your bed mattress. The way that works is it's like a paper shredder that you would have in your office. So it just pushes the product through. So that'll shred the ball to basically chop it up into halves and quarters. So it's a very large aggregate. Further to that, we use granulators to get the ball down to a rice size aggregate consistency, because in our acoustic panels that we're using the product in at the moment on a trial for a 22-kilometre tunnel that's being built in New South Wales, the acoustic panel rating is a lot higher with recycled golf balls than it is with traditional glass and fiberglass that normally goes into acoustic panels. So we would then use a granulator so we can get the aggregate down to a finer process. But you can see this is a very basic sort of first screening, as we call it, and that would that has a very low value in the aggregate. So our business, and for your interest, we have to try and cover costs because we don't get funding from anyone. So this is an enterprise that has to be sustainable financially. So the bin cost will cover the logistics, pick up and drop off only. The credit that comes back to you from the value of reusable balls is shared with you, and we keep a percentage of that so that we can offset some of our operating costs as a business. The aggregate has a very low value when it's at that size. The more we refine that aggregate, every time we touch the aggregate, it costs us on average an extra 25 cents per kilo every time we have to rework it and move it through the process. So that aggregate there might have a retail value to us of probably around about 30 cents a kilo at that size. And that's really just enough to get it to pay Reclaim to shred it, and then get it from Reclaim to the likes of Heinz. I think they're in Penrose, aren't they, Jacob? Heinz, across to their facility where they can then put it into their product. We actually then don't really make any money out of it. We're just creating an environmental opportunity to recycle a golf ball. Where we do start to make a bit of money is when we're getting 50, 75, $1 a kilo from better uses like in our EnviroCurb. And then when we're selling our EnviroCurb into councils, we're making money out of that as a construction process. So don't be disillusioned. We're about making money because we have to pay tax and pay people, but we're trying to encourage more governments to get behind what we're doing. And we've got a new project that we're working on at the moment that'll be launched in early 2025, and it's called School on the Green. And that is a program that brings junior school children out to golf courses, and it includes biology. It touches on native Indigenous culture with the land, so the Māori iwi culture and the importance of that with the country. It touches on the horticultural and the agricultural side of golf, so it looks at the importance of flora and fauna and the relationship with a golf course. But it really is focused on golf circularity and educating young children and the next generation on the importance of circularity. And it's a program that will hopefully drive younger people to golf as a sport option, because there's a lot of children that would not necessarily go and visit a golf course because of whatever reasons they may not have had that opportunity. So this education program that we're working with will go to the education minister, will go to the environmental minister, will also go to the sport minister and the Indigenous minister in New Zealand and present this. And hopefully, Cameron, we can, with your help, we'll be able to get some funding to run that program. We'll have to reach out to a lot of local schools and Indigenous communities to help us run those programs. But once we've written that program and we've got it past the curriculum passed, we see that that's a fantastic opportunity to drive business to your local PGA pros and golf courses, and hopefully grow the game for the future with a better, looking through the lens of environmental sustainability.
Yeah, it's a really good point, John. And one of the things, that's why we've got you on here from the council, and we've been looking at the opportunity to connect golf courses and local schools through Enviro Schools. And so what you're presenting now, we're thinking along the same lines, and certainly Matt from Pupuki has great connections with his schools already, and sees the benefits, and we've been discussing the work he does as well already, connecting with schools. And then the further that we can do this and promote the importance of golf courses to the surrounding communities, the better.
And that's fantastic, Matt, and congratulations on the work you're doing, because circularity is all about recognising enterprises that are working, and there's a lot of good work that you people are already doing, and New Zealand is quite advanced in circularity already, and people are brainstorming and thinking outside the square. And I love the initiative of New Zealand, because you're competing on a big world scale as a small population. So if you look at your movie industry and the quality of the arts that come out of New Zealand, it's just absolutely world class standard. It leads the world in a lot of cases, because you are so innovative. And Aussies are like that too. We're a small population on a big globe, so we really have to work hard. And my pledge to Jacob is that this shouldn't be a John Harrington or a golf ball recycling driven incentive. Yes, golf ball recycling is an enterprise within circularity in itself. It's providing a solution to end-of-life golf balls. But the rest of our strategy, Golf Circularity 2030, and the RNA has done a lot of work with this, and I've spoken a lot with Annalette Anderson, the Director of Sustainability at the RNA, who's recently resigned, and they've replaced her. I've spoken to John Spitzer from the USGA, who is Head of Environmental Sustainability for America at Golf. The guys up in the European Golf Union, and Spencer Robinson from the Asian Golf Industry Federation. It should be driven by golf as an industry, and at some point in time, I'll retire, and this business will be handed over to the next generation. And the golf industry, Golf New Zealand and Auckland Golf and everyone else, the PGA associations, the superintendents associations, ASTRA, and the Golf Retail Association. Nick Arnold from Acushnet, and Matt Meredith from Callaway, and Daniel from Bridgestone Diecast, and Kingy from Strixon. They all should be driving sustainability, not me. So all we're trying to do is we're trying to deliver a document and a strategy for everyone to think about, and then add their own input and take it themselves and work with it back in your own clubs and your own homes. And I met Steve Williams at the Golf Summit recently, and he came up to me and said, what are you guys doing? We had a stand there, and we had a Enviro pit on display, and I explained to him that we're recycling end-of-life golf balls, and he said it was a pretty cool idea. And I said, so Steve, why don't you be an ambassador for us in New Zealand? So he was quite keen, and we've been talking, and we're working that opportunity up at the moment, and hopefully Steve will come on board as an ambassador. And I've been lucky enough to meet Sir Bob Charles and Verity down at their Christchurch home at Clearwater, and I was lucky enough to do that through my relationship with the late Peter Thompson. And I think Sir Bob Charles and also Lydia Ko would be great ambassadors for environmental sustainability in golf in New Zealand, because they're really key figures. So that's a big picture sort of wish, idealistic view on where we can take this as a group. But we really, really need, and I can't emphasize enough, we really need you guys to get behind it and help grow it as it's your it's your business and it's your country and it's your environment that you're protecting.
Thanks, John. Just trying to unmute myself there. Perfect timing as well. We've taken the half hour that we said we would. So I'll just stop recording now. I appreciate everything you've provided there, John.
You're welcome. Thank you.